Well, the NFC East is sending out
That's a firework.
Week 16 of the 2019 season in style.
Is that it?
That's all I had to say.
The Giants and Washington. Man, that was an OT game that I never needed to watch. Like that is a fifth quarter of football that did not need to exist.
You could ask me in 5 minutes, 5 months, 5 years who scored that final touchdown for Washington or for the Giants to win the game.
Figured it out.
You couldn't ask me 5 minutes ago and I wouldn't have known the answer. It won't stay in my mind.
Caden Smith.
It was Caden Smith. But again, 5 minutes, 5 months, 5 years from now, I won't remember.
Also, of course it was Caden Smith, right? Like, that is the most Giants-y answer to a game-winning touchdown in 2019. Caden Smith.
Yeah, it was a nice performance to see, I guess. But again, we don't ever need that. We just don't ever need to think about it again.
Moving forward, Matt, I have a little. Well, I think I asked you this already. I'm going to ask you again because, I don't know, it's already fuzzy.
Why not?
As Matt just said, Dwayne Haskins or Daniel Jones, who do you want to build a franchise around? Pick one.
I think on last halftime show I picked Dwayne Haskins. So this one I'll pick Daniel Jones. And that way I'm right one way or another.
Cool.
I mean, playmaking moxie of old Daniel Jones. How can you turn away from that?
I'm sorry, you just said his name and I yawned. That just happened.
He's an absolute.
Also,
snooze.
the Bengals and the Dolphins were two teams that also had an overtime game. Woo! We're here for it. But don't worry, Cincinnati fans. Joe Burrow still is yours because the Bengals lost by a field goal.
Yeah, a gorgeous situation there. Our chat room is already buzzing. Remember, this show is about you, the people. So let us know what you have to say in the Twitter, in the Facebook chat, the YouTube chat, whatever you've got going on. RJ Morris 02 says Austin Eckler needs more opportunities. What's your projection for Mike Boone? Much needed points for the title. I think we both said that Mike Boone is a RB1 for sure, if not top 10 play against the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football.
Got those fresh legs. We know that the team wants to establish the run and also has quite a few receiving weapons to stretch the field. So I think you're definitely rolling them out.
I think there's no question.
But I would agree, I think you would too, that Austin Eckler does need more opportunities. I feel like every time I look up, Austin Eckler is moving the chains and Melvin Gordon is scoring the touchdowns.
Yeah, he was. Well, Melvin Gordon was last week that he was essentially removed from the proceedings for fumbling, but yes, he did score today. Phillip Rivers is also worth monitoring. Was injured for a bit in this game. I know headed into the medical tent. We might see some Tyrod Taylor action. You never know.
Speaking of injuries, Zach Ertz left the contest with a rib injury.
Yes.
That would be
highly problematic.
Yeah, that'd be highly problematic. And Greg Ward in his stead because, of course, it's the converted quarterback out of nowhere that is doing damage.
Greg Ward season. Also, Dallas Goedert is on fire today, too. Scored a touchdown as well. Truth Seeker on YouTube says, what do the Lions need to change? I don't know. They're not going to fire Matt Patricia or Bob Quinn, though. They're running that back one more time. So we're going to get the very boring defensive scheme of one Matt Patricia mixed with the ultra boring offense that they like to run.
Well, it's tough too because when you look at this offense on paper, Matt Stafford, I think he is a above average quarterback, right? I don't think he's a world beater, but I certainly think any franchise would be happy to have him and build around him.
Was playing really well this year.
Before he got hurt, before he broke his back, literally.
Yeah. And as they say about bad backs, Liz.
You ain't
nobody used to have a bad back.
Just always got one.
Exactly.
But you've got Galladay. He's electric. Kerryon Johnson, if he could stay healthy, is a wonderful addition. TJ Hawkinson, I mean, listen, he was a rookie tight end, but there's certainly potential there. So he does have the pieces, and I can't believe, I guess I can believe, but the play calling certainly did not live up to these offensive pieces, but it's because the injuries, I believe that this team suffered as a whole, which is going to save Matt Patricia's job and be the excuse for why he doesn't get fired this year.
I think so too. I mean, and it was a shallow roster to begin with. Like there
isn't depth, right?
There's no depth.
There's no depth, but there's a lot of But you say that like there's no depth, but there's a lot of top end talent. And then I think about the Eagles and I think about Doug Peterson, and that team didn't have depth, and yet they are still in it for the NFC East title game. And maybe like let's have a conversation about reseeding or all of that stuff another time. And both the Cowboys and the Eagles and that whole division is trash. But still, like Peterson found ways, and Patricia never did.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like. It's never a good look when the thing that you're supposed to be known for is the thing that's a huge problem with the team. And that was the defense throughout, really, for the Lions. And I think you could say that the difference here is the Eagles had their franchise quarterback throughout. The Lions lost theirs. The Lions might have been a mediocre-ish team, not one of the absolute dregs of the league, had they had Matt Stafford. But again, negligible difference there.
It's the same thing on defense as offense, though. I mean, you've got great pieces like Slay, right? You went and traded Quandre Diggs to Seattle. Was he traded or released and then picked up? Traded to Seattle, and Quandre Diggs is hurt right now, but he showed up big for Seattle a couple of times in the middle of the season, last third of the season, right? Like
a couple of picks on Jared Goff on Monday Night Football. Still lost the game, but that is what it is. Ryan Moody says, do you think Kareem Hunt may sign back with the Chiefs? It is possible that they need him really badly, I think. No, I don't think.
Ryan Moody talk.
I think that bridge is probably burned for Kareem Hunt and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, Ryan Moody said this about Kareem Hunt. Got it.
Yeah, his name is Ryan Moody.
I was like, I don't know who Ryan Moody is.
He said it in the chat. Got it. In the chat right over.
Will they take Kareem Hunt back?
No.
No backsies.
Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks Arizona Cardinals game because, one, people are upset about Tyler Lockett. Look, it is what it is. You're fine. Probably not, but it is what it is. I want a more interesting question, though. I just ran into our good pal Jared Quay, host of The Rush, many other properties here at Yahoo Sports. He says that he thinks Kenyon Drake will be a first-round pick in fantasy next year.
I think that's likely.
Yeah? Well, he said I should rephrase that. He said he'll be the first overall pick in fantasy next year.
No.
Of course, I said, Jared, you need to calm down. No. But
he's going to be a first or second round pick. I mean, what I would anticipate is I don't remember where exactly Derrick Henry was picked this year.
Like fourth round.
He was that low?
Yeah. He's like around RB20.
Yeah, he never had as much like heat as Kenyon Drake did. I mean, I think that we've done this with Kenyon Drake, right? Like he has an awesome December, and then everyone gets hyped for him, and the tape is good, and so he'll reach. I think it wouldn't surprise me to see. And also, everyone was so disappointed by Saquon Barkley, by Alvin Kamara this year that I don't know what other running backs are going to catch the public's attention.
Yeah, I think the running back ADP will be really interesting. Sports Puzzle on Twitter, it's a cute name, says, LOL, Drake first round, no way.
I'm not picking him.
I don't know that I would do it, but I think maybe the hype could get there. If he returns to Arizona, because I think he is a free agent this year. I don't know that, obviously David Johnson I think will be gone. We'll see what happens there. Funny tweet from my buddy Marcus Grant from the NFL Network. Let's check in on the Adam Gase expats this week. Ryan Tannehill, 23 fantasy points. Devontae Parker, 22 fantasy points. Your boy, Mike Gesicki, 26. And Kenyon Drake, 18.6 and counting. So, once again, we've got great stuff by the Adam. I like that. Adam Gase expats is a funny one there. But we'll see what happens with the old Kenyon Drake and the Cardinals.
Anything else?
I don't know. What else is there to say? What else is there to say about the? I had something to say. I had something to say, and now I don't remember what it was.
I have something to say if you need a minute.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Hunter Renfrow is back for the Raiders and already scored a touchdown, proving that Derek Carr needs himself a constant safety valve. And it has been at the cost of Darren Waller's volume. Darren Waller has converted all of his looks, so there's the silver lining. He's only drawn 3 targets, however. Meanwhile, Hunter Renfrow has drawn 7, converted 5 of those for 96 and a touch.
I think he could be a really good sleeper candidate next year.
If Derek Carr is the quarterback.
Derek Carr's the quarterback, but even so, don't you think that whoever they end up getting would be the nice, he's just that safety valve receiver that this hypothetical quarterback would probably need?
There's a difference between needing a safety valve or requiring one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But that's an interesting offense next year too, just with Josh Jacobs coming back and everything like that. Las Vegas, how exciting! You know what?
What was it that you were thinking of?
I don't. I don't remember what I was thinking.
Okay.
I don't remember what I was thinking of. Hey, here's something. Ravens, next week, should they play any of their starters? Week 17. They got nothing to play for except the theoretical momentum / they can knock the Steelers like out of the postseason race completely.
Well, I think the Mark Ingram injury was probably a nice wake-up call to the fact that this whole team maybe should just wrap themselves in bubble wrap and try to go the distance. I mean, they walloped the Browns. It was a little bit close for the first, half quarter or so, but 31-15, proving that the Week 4 loss was just an anomaly until Lamar Jackson and this entire offense could kind of cohesively become something new. And the Browns fell apart in the meantime. So I think because Ingram did get hurt, they're probably going to lean towards being more conservative.
I think so. And also, like, I am mildly interested in what RG3 would look like. Like, I was gonna say that too. Like, you know what's bizarre about Lamar Jackson, just where we're at with him, is then on a day where he as you mentioned, runs for over 100 yards, scores no touchdowns, but scores 3 touchdowns through the air at 7.7 yards per attempt. It's just like, that's just business as usual, which is like, that's some unbelievable like stuff. Like, that's some video game type numbers. Like, that's me playing. I wish I could play like that in Madden. And this guy just does that. It's like, yeah, sure.
I have a question for you about the Ravens. So I had said during my Fearless forecast, I did tight ends all season, right? And Mark Andrews, his volume hadn't been great. He'd been catching 4 to 5 balls every week, except that like 1 to 2 of them per contest were in the end zone. And you weren't not going to start him because you did not want to miss out on being a part of this offense that's wildly electric, right? But what about Hollywood Brown, who hasn't been totally healthy and who has had his splash moments? Where are we at with him and his evolution, and how much of this is about injury, and what would you anticipate for next season?
Well, I think I tweeted this during the Jets game when he had that one long reception when he was like being covered by a dude wearing...
The Thursday night game?
Yeah, the Thursday night game. And he was being covered by a dude who had a neck roll and was wearing the number 46. Just like, that guy probably shouldn't be covering that.
That guy.
But anyways, I said, I was like, look, it's unbelievable that we have this guy, Lamar Jackson, playing at this level. And, like, Hollywood Brown is not completely integrated or hasn't been popping off all year because I think he's such a special talent. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be worth watching the tape from this season and everything like that and going back and seeing exactly where he's at. But I think if he ever is fully healthy and fully integrated like that, that's just another level that this offense can go to, not just next season, but also in the postseason. Like, if Brown doesn't run it all next week and then he gets another week off because of the bye, that just makes him that much more of an X factor in games, against the Patriots or the Chiefs, whatever.
I feel like Miles Boykin might be the sneakier, more solid player in the long run.
I don't think that is out of the question. I mean, he was like our second favorite receiver?
4th.
In this past draft?
He was 4th.
Yeah, for me, he was my number 2 receiver in this draft. I mean, he was a great player, top 5 either way, one way or another. But DeAndre Washington did just pop into the end zone for the Raiders, so that is beautiful. Now since we're talking about Lamar Jackson, and we can kind of start to wrap up on this. Lamar Jackson, Jay from Facebook says, will he go in the first round? I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, I don't think I would take him there, but where do you think he will go versus where would you take him?
I mean, he is next year's Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. I think he's going to go in the second round at least.
Probably the second round. I'm not going to take him then.
I know. It just sucks. It's like, this was the one year probably that, like, analysts or whatever, like us, would ever have him on our fantasy team because he's just going to go too high.
Yeah.
That's the brutal part of it. And then there's, natural statistical regression, which no one will want to hear, but no one wanted to hear about it with Patrick Mahomes, and it did happen eventually.
It took that ankle injury, right?
It took the ankle injury because that's the NFL. Things happen. Like, it gets weird sometimes. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Baltimore. Also, it's just the replaceability of the position is just another thing that we always have to talk about.
Can we talk about Ryan Moody's question? Because I actually think it's quite good.
Sure.
And it relates back to a question or a point, actually, that Matt made earlier. Do you think Kyler Murray could play elite like Lamar Jackson next year? I think he could. And then he has a lot to say about that.
There's a lot of words after that, but
ultimately,
stay on the point.
I think, rephrased, do you think that Kyler Murray could produce the way Lamar Jackson has this year and ultimately be a little bit more of value, especially if you are talking about statistical regression and the depth of the position?
Yeah, no question. I think he will be a big-time value next year. I mean, I didn't even realize that he's QB8 on the season
Already.
coming into this week. So he already is a top 10 QB1 type fantasy player. Now, it hasn't felt like that all the time, and he's been, frankly, more of a floor play than a ceiling guy anyways because of the rushing. Coming into this week, he was second or third right there with Josh Allen,
I was just going
right
to say,
behind
is he
Lamar Jackson.
ahead or behind Josh Allen?
I'd have to look at the numbers live or whatever, but I mean, he has been that sort of rushing threat.
They are back-to-back. Heading into this week, Josh Allen was the 6th most productive fantasy player at the position, and Kyler Murray was number 7.
Yeah, so I mean, I think, though, it's all about what can Arizona do in terms of building the roster in the offseason because, like, not for nothing, I know the talk is, you know, they built a system around Lamar Jackson, but they added a lot of talent, too, or saw guys like Mark Andrews develop in year 2 as a young tight end. Hayden Hurst, like, he's made some big plays here and there. He's not a big player.
Drafted ahead of Lamar.
Which is bizarre.
Crazy, right?
It's always a thing when we talk about, man, you know, just great job by the Ravens to take Lamar Jackson. Well, take a player ahead of him. You know, it's worth always mentioning that.
I mean, but that's how they save their rookie money.
Exactly. Now, you know, they also added Hollywood Brown, as we mentioned. They drafted another receiver in the top 100 picks, Miles Boykin. So they added talent there. And also, obviously, they get Mark Ingram as, like, to be that feature running back, give them an identity as a team. And then they mix in other guys like Justice Hill, who scored today, Gus Edwards as well.
He had a year last year. I mean, and
so there was talent
there too.
Yeah, there's depth and talent, and right now I don't think Arizona has depth or a lot of talent on their roster. So what they do to infuse the roster with that, while also, of course, making some plays on the offensive line as well, because that's an area where they still need help, and the Ravens are quite strong on the offensive line. No one's really talking about that. Like, Ronnie Stanley's having one of the better left tackle seasons we've seen in a long time, and no one's really talking about that because obviously all the attention is on the splashy things. Like, so there's a lot that Arizona can do, and I think will do, and for that reason I do think, yeah, Murray will be a great fantasy value next year and not make a Lamar Jackson type leap, but maybe do a light version of that.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Well, with that, I think it's time we wrap up our halftime shows for the 2019 NFL season. Liz, it was fun interacting with everyone out there.
It was. Jeff, thanks for the shout out. That meant a lot. We appreciate you tuning in every week too.
Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck surviving an off-season free of fantasy football, and we'll see you right back here in 2020.
Happy holidays and Happy New Year.